Exploring AI Art by Emmeline Bateman for INFOST 110. What are you going to talk about? I will talk about AI, or artificial intelligence, specifically people using artificial intelligence to create visual art. I will explore AI through two different lenses. One lens being a painting called Edmond de Blamy, which was created by a generative adversarial network, also known as a GAN. I'll give a brief summary of Edmond de Blamy's history. I will also explain what a GAN is itself, show a clip of Edmond de Blamy's creation, as well as the question of authorship in the creation of this painting. The other lens will be through Sungwon Chen, a famous AI artist who works alongside AI robotics to create physical art. Here I will give a summary on her 3 Doug performances. I will also talk about her unique view and the role that she has with AI. Who am I? Before exploring AI, I want to introduce myself. I'm Emmeline Bateman. I'm a senior, but this is my first year in the SOIS program at UWM. Outside of school and work, I have many hobbies, but the one I hold dear is making art. Although I do not make art for a living, I do consider myself an artist. I've been making art since I was 10. I have showcased my work in galleries before. I try to share my work when I find time to sit down and make something new. I don't have a concrete style nor medium, but I enjoy finding new mediums to make art with. I've even made art through coding. Why AI art? Besides the obvious fact that the AIK for me this year was AI, this is my reason. I wanted to incorporate my interest in art into this project. I knew that AI art was a thing before, but I had never taken the time to investigate it before. I wanted to gain more insight into this new field of art and maybe try to incorporate AI into my own art in the future. So tell me about Edmond de Blamy. First, here's a clip of the process of the AI slowly making the painting. As you can see, there's a different stages of pictures being made. Later, when I explain what a GAN is, the process will make a bit more sense. I first learned about Edmond de Blamy when I read the article, Who Gets Credit for AI Generated Art? Here I learned that Edmond de Blamy is the name of a painting generated by a machine learning algorithm known as a generative adversarial network, or GAN. Although the creation of this painting was not a historical feat, its selling in an art auction house was notable. In fact, this GAN painting was sold at Christie's art auction for $432,500. So, what is a GAN? Thanks to Machines Creativity article, Artificial Art, How GANs Are Making Machines Creative, I found a relatively easy way to explain what GANs are. In this example, let's say we wanted to create a GAN that can make pictures of dogs. Basically, there are 2 machine agents involved in GAN. One is called a discriminator, who is given a set picture of dogs, all shapes and breeds. Its job is to learn how to classify between dogs and non-dogs. The second agent is called a generator, who is given random dots and shapes to create images. Its job is to learn how to make the images to trick the discriminator into thinking the image is a dog. The generator hands off its images to the discriminator along with photos of real dogs. The discriminator then determines which image are real dogs and which is fake. After looking at all the images, the discriminator gives feedback to the generator on how to make the generated images look more like a dog. The generator then modifies its random drawings to look more similar to what the discriminator described. This process goes on until the generator succeeds at deceiving the discriminator. As Machine Creativity puts it, data scientists call this a min-max game. As a generator, G is always trying to maximize the probability of declaring the fake data real, and the discriminator D is trying to minimize that possibility. Now is the actual mathematical equation that represents what GANs do. You can see min G or generator in it and max D or discriminator in the beginning of the function. And in the painting of Edmond de Blamy, in the bottom right hand corner we see the artist's signature as the same equation. Although there is more to Edmond de Blamy than just the equation that was used to make it. Who gets credit for Edmond de Blamy? Is it Ian Goodfellow, the creator of GANs, who introduced them in his 2014 paper, Generative Adversarial Networks? Is it Alex Radford, Luke Mez, and Sufmith Chintal, who invented the GAN that actually generated the artwork? Is it Robbie Bratt, who wrote the code to produce the Renaissance style's image of GAN. Ironically, Robert Bratt actually states in his GitHub that he prohibits the output from his code to be sold for profit. Or is it Parisian artist collector Obvious, who selected, printed, marketed, and sold the image, and was the sole collector of the $432,500 it sold for an auction, get the credit? Although this is a complicated question, and I do not intend on answering it, the question does say this: AI is deeply rooted in human activity. We should make sure not to forget that without humans, this artwork would cease to exist. When creating a narrative for AI, it is crucial that we do not leave humans out of its narrative. Unfortunately, with Edmond de Blamy, human involvement was cut out of its creative narrative, and the AI was personified instead. Hopefully in the future, AI artists will be more honest to parties involved in the AI art. Luckily, there's one artist who is more transparent with AI. Sunwon Chung. According to her profile on AIartist.org, Sunwon Chung is an award-winning artist who uses hand and technology reproduced marks to explore communication between people and machines. She uses AI and hand-drawn marks to create her art pieces and addresses person-to-person and machine-to-person communication. Her artwork is performative as she will make visual art on set with an audience. In her recent TED Talk, Sunwon Chung speaks about her 3 robotic art performances she held in New York. Each performance was called Drawing Operations Unit Generational, or DUG for short. DUG 1 focused on an AI machine that tracked the movement of Sunwon Chung's strokes that she made on paper. Then it mimicked and recreated the same strokes on the paper. She found the machine wasn't perfectly tracking it well and was making many mistakes. But through that, she found inspiration to work with the imperfections. She decided to recognize AI as not a perfect tool, but instead a collaborator. Building off of DUG 1, she had found it would be better to have DUG 2 focus more on neural network learning and use past work she had to train the machine so it could draw in her style. This was done in the hopes that DUG 2 could work more independently alongside Sunwon when they collaborated to make an art piece. I found Sunwon Chung's art to be really unique, and she had a very interesting perspective about AI. She didn't see AI as its own free agent that was removed from humans, nor as a tool, but instead as a collaborator to work alongside. I found that perspective rather interesting and in a way poetic. I think as AI gets more complicated and it grows from its current infant stages, that working with AI will become more collaborative and less of a tool. It is an eye into the future of AI. In conclusion, AI art is still relatively new. GANs were just invented in 2014, and a lot of human involvement is required for AI to be in an art space. But still, it's interesting to see the 2 ledges of AI in art, and as time goes on, things only get more interesting and more complex.